Hi there, Mary Elizabeth Parker here, and today's just kind of a check-in video, so it's definitely more of a vlog type video. So today I'm just kind of feeling that weird, you feel motivated but not motivated at the same time. You have so much stuff you feel like you want to get done, but you feel like you don't have any energy to do it. I don't know if anybody else ever gets that way. I definitely do. It'll probably turn into me reading, which is fine. I love reading, obviously. So, but I just wanted to make sure I checked in with everybody and saw how they were doing. I am going to take advantage of the beautiful weather outside, and I'm going to grill up some burgers and brats, so I'm going to at least make myself do something. And make myself a nice lunch/dinner. I don't have set dinner meal times, really. I just kind of eat when I do. But I hope everybody's having fun with the nice weather. I saw a beautiful hummingbird who stayed and had a sip from my hummingbird feeder for quite some time today, which was really nice. My cat's enjoying his time out on the balcony. I might make myself transplant my tomatoes that I need to transplant. I like to grow some fruits and vegetables on my balcony in the summer, which saves me money, and it also gives me fresh produce. The problem is sometimes it yields either too much or too little at a time when I want it. But that's how nature really works in the gardening. You can't just go out to the garden and say, hey, I want this, and it'll be there. That's why we're very lucky to have the grocery stores that we do. It wasn't always like that. I do have something in the works for my Random Facts Friday, of course. And I did think about reviewing a book, but it was one that I kind of only felt like was a C to C plus book for me. And I think I touched on it in a previous video where it's really, I had a misconception, I think, of what the plot was going to be. It's called After Alice, and this is the second time I've had a book by Gregory Maguire that I went into it thinking it was going to be something completely different of what it was. The first time was called What the Dickens, and it was a book about a rogue tooth fairy. And I thought the Dickens part was going to have to do with the author, but it turned out yes, that's 3 that's in a row. It turned out that the main character's name ended up being What the Dickens because somebody picked it up and said, what the Dickens is this? So that's where that title came from. It was still fun, it just wasn't what I wanted out of that book. And then the book I just recently finished called After Alice, I thought it was going to be a story about Alice after she gets back from Wonderland, or Wonderland after Alice leaves, something like that. But it turned out that, sorry if there's spoilers, but deal with it. It turned out that it was actually about her neighbor, who Alice was the only friend of hers apparently, or at least she considered her a friend. Her neighbor Ada fell down the hole after her and also went to Wonderland, and it's really more about her searching through Wonderland, and then about Alice's sister Lydia with the balance between being a child going into adulthood, especially in the Victorian era, and propriety is part of the story, and it would kind of alternate between the two. So it was not so unenjoyable that I didn't want to finish the book, but it took me a long time because it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought it was going to be. But like I said, I thought it was going to be something different when I chose it. The hardest thing for me, I would love to hear if it's like this for you too, is when I finish a book, sometimes I have trouble deciding what of my books in my queue of stuff to read am I going to read next, because what mood am I in? What am I going to want to read? Am I going to want to read something creepy, something serious, something light, something heavy, fiction, non-fiction? Just, I read all over the gambit of different genres. I just kind of go with where it takes me, and I encourage people, even at work, I've said in a previous video that I do work at a bookstore, and I do find it difficult to suggest books for someone blindly. It helps to know what is that person into reading already, and a lot of times they'll be into stuff that I'm not into. I like to say I tend to read a lot of the unusual. I read a lot of stuff that the average person doesn't necessarily read. I just go with the read what draws you in. Who cares what the judgments in society are about that book? If it's considered a classic, if it's considered horrible, read what you enjoy. That's what matters. Unless you're being assigned it for a class, don't worry about what somebody tells you to read or what not to read. Read what you want to read. Now mind you, if you're in school and your teacher is asking you to read something, there's a reason for it. I was lucky that when I got into the major, that was a better fit for me in some ways. Because I started out as a science major, which might explain why I have some science knowledge, and my high school diploma is actually a science major with a music concentration. So I always had that both sides thing. But I ended up getting a degree in cinema studies. Now some of you, I like to joke that it's a degree in watching movies, but with that degree you're ripping apart the film, you're looking for nuances and so many little details, but you're also, if it's something based on a book, oftentimes you're reading this book as well as watching the film, or this play and watching the film. And so I actually got to read a lot of classic literature. I ended up reading a lot of German literature for my film classes because our advisor at the time, the head of the department in my college, she was actually German, came here when she was 16, and so she had a closeness with that. She also dealt a lot with the literature of a specific German author, and she also taught the German classes at my college in the language studies department. So those were all things that fed into any classes that she had, it seemed like. And so there was like German literature and film, German drama and film, which then we could have it cross-listed as both German and film class. This was helpful in a small school, because even though I did actually share some teachers and instructors from Cornell and some other local colleges, we had, because it wasn't Cornell, our classrooms weren't as big of students, pro-con. When there are more students than average, you might not get in or get the attention you want from the instructor or have as good of a discussion, but then you don't have to worry about the class being canceled. Whereas with the small classroom, you get more I think the discussions are easier to have and you're less frightened to step forward because everybody's on display. But your class might get canceled. I actually almost took another language instead of French when I was in college, and the class got canceled because not enough people had signed up for Arabic. This was back in 1999, so it wasn't as common for people to want to learn Arabic in the States at this time, apparently. It ended up being a big bonus because then the professor who was teaching Arabic in that area and was apparently the only one kept saying, oh, this other school can't take me away from here, I love it here. And the following semester he did go to this other school, which was Columbia, so it was in New York City instead of Central New York State. But yeah, as a result of majoring in cinema studies, I actually had a lot of literature reading. I had a theater minor, so again, there was some literature reading involved with that too, but it was more the classical plays. So, yeah. Back to the book. So yeah, like I said, this book was just kind of meh. I'm about halfway through already on the newest book I started called Emma in the Night. I'm assuming that's going to be the final title. I will probably do a book review on that once I finish it, especially since it is one of those books that I luckily got before release date. So that'll be an upcoming video. Yay! Who knows, maybe I'll get through it quickly enough that I'll have it next week or the week after. I wish I could read at a faster pace, but I'd rather keep the content. It seems like most people have that trade-off. They either read super duper fast and forget much of what they've read, or they read at a slower pace and then remember almost everything they read. I actually like that I'm in the latter group in some ways. I do wish I could read more quickly just because I do love reading and reading more at a quicker pace would actually allow me to read more. But at the same time, if I were reading it at a fast pace and then not remembering it, for me that would be very difficult. Plus side of that, however, is you can reread a book and still get enjoyment out of it. The few books I reread are actually because I get something different based on where my headspace is, or I will notice different details that pop out at me or interpret certain things differently, and that's a really fun thing to do. I mean, honestly, I feel conflicted when you take an English class and they tell you, this is what the author meant. Did the author say that's what they meant? Because if they didn't, how do you know? It's one of the difficulties. I say everything's up for interpretation. Yes, there's an academic way that they want you to guide you, and really part of it is them trying to get you to think about the intent of the author and think about what you're reading. And so, this video is turning into a little bit of a ramble about reading, so I'll share something I do that I find really helpful. I started in college because I realized sometimes when I read a book, I will find a quote that I really like. And so what I did, and I used to have a friend who would give me journals all the time, and I don't typically journal. It's just something I've tried to do it, I don't really get into it. And so what I did was I took one of those journals and made it into a quote book. So instead of buying a book of quotes, or now everybody probably just goes online to look for quotes, but this still works out really well for me. I still do it. I like to take the quote from the book that I'm reading, or sometimes it'll be a television program or a film that I'll take it from, and I write down the quote and where it's from. If it's in a book, I write down the page and everything from the copy I have. That way, if I ever am writing something, and this is why it started in college, if I was ever writing a paper, or if I at some point start doing essays or something like that online, doing a blog instead of a vlog, it's really helpful for being able to cite where you got this quote from. I don't want to steal people's quotes if I can help it. Of course, there's always the whole joy of parallel thoughts, whole nother topic, but common in several fields. So I don't know if that would help anybody, and I hope everybody's enjoying their day, and if you feel motivated, hopefully you get done what you want. If you're feeling lazy, hopefully you have the chance to have a lazy day. I'm probably mostly going to be lazy, but try to fit a few non-lazy things. I did do this video and put makeup on, so that was not lazy of me. Go me! But I hope you're all having a great day, and enjoy that weather if you have nice weather. If not, stay in, do something fun that you enjoy doing that way. I don't go in the sun really, because it burns my skin. I have very sensitive skin. But I can still enjoy the warmth and the fresh air and sit in the shade or wear a lot of sunblock and go out in the sun. So I am going to at least sit outside to read and or do my cookout. I might do them at the same time. I don't know how well that would work. But like I said, I'm going to at least do some barbecue and eat something yummy. But I hope you're all going to have a great day. I will have something for you Friday. I should be filming it Friday this time and getting it edited. It might be late at night when it gets done edited, but I will hopefully have it on time this week. Thank you for joining me on my Wednesday random vlog, my Where the Mood Takes Me vlog, and then Friday, please come back for Random Fact Friday. I do like alliteration. If only I could come up with something better than random that starts with an F. And I would love to hear any of your comments below about any topic, really. But obviously today is books. If you have any ideas of books that you might like to discuss, if you want to comment on my idea of making your own quote book, etc. And thank you again. Have a great day, and please be kind to each other. Bye.